Chose my ex over my longtime fiancé years ago. Now he's questioning our relationship and considering breaking things off before the wedding. My fiancé, Ryan, who I've been with for 7 years, told me today that he's not sure whether he wants to be with me anymore, and I realize it may sound stupid, but I love him so much. It feels like my world is falling apart around me. I don't know what I can do. This all started a couple days ago when we were celebrating our anniversary. We invited a bunch of people, including one of my closest friends, Ellie. She noticed my fiancé being affectionate towards me and made some stupid comment about how she told me so that Ryan would be better for me than my ex, Andy. My fiancé was a little confused and asked Ellie what she meant. Back when I was in college, Andy and Ryan both asked me out to the same event. I'd known Ryan since high school and we'd always had a thing, but we weren't a couple. On top of that, he went to another college that was a half-hour drive away from me. Andy went to my college, his dorm was a 5-minute walk away, and he was someone completely new. I began to feel like my relationship with Ryan wouldn't be exciting enough because we already knew almost everything about each other. With the added headache of being half an hour away from each other, despite Ellie's protests, I decided to go with Andy. I know my reasoning is beyond stupid, but I never thought that this decision had the potential to blow up my future. Ryan was already hurt that I declined his request to go on a date. I didn't want to make him feel worse by telling him that I was going with someone else, not that it mattered because he stopped talking to me for about 6 months. During this time, it became obvious that me and Andy weren't right for each other, so we ended it. When me and Ryan began talking again, I realized how much I missed him and that he was perfect for me, so I asked him out. He was overjoyed, and that's how we got to this point. For tea, the rest of the party I could tell that his mood was off. He kept pulling away from my kisses/touches and responded to me with short one-sentence answers. After the party, when I asked him what was wrong, he just said that he felt sick. For the next 2 days he continued to be cold and distant. I had no idea what was happening, so I waited patiently for him to become comfortable enough to tell me. Today he told me the reason he'd been acting off. From the story, it sounded like I'd kept him as my backup or plan B in case my relationship with Andy failed, and that it was especially messed up since we'd obviously had feelings for each other long before then. He also said that he deserved to be someone's first choice. I thought that this was just an insecurity that we could get through, but then he went on to say that he's not sure whether he can see our relationship in the same light anymore, so it might be best if we split up. I pleaded with him that we don't need to take it that far and that we should go to counseling or even just live separately for a few days while he thinks about whether this is what he actually wants. So far he hasn't said anything except that he absolutely refuses to go to therapy. I can tell that this is weighing on him heavily because he's been drinking more than usual, but I don't know what to say to make him feel better. We've had a beautiful relationship. He's never been overly jealous or possessive, and although neither of us are perfect, I couldn't ask for a more loving, respectful, intelligent and charming, soon-to-be, husband. I don't understand how all of that could come to an end for a foolish mistake that I made 7 years ago. Edit: I think I may have messed up on my wording. He doesn't care that I dated someone else before him. It bothers him that I had the choice between him or Andy, and I chose Andy. Update 1. It's been a little over 2 weeks now, so I'm not sure if anyone is even interested anymore. I think for now I'm just confused out what's happening. If anyone has any advice or has some idea of what he's thinking, please tell me. After what happened in the last post, he said that we should put off the wedding while we decide how to proceed. That means something, right? He used the exact words "put off" instead of "cancel" and "while we decide how to proceed." I think that means he hasn't decided that we should break up yet. Maybe he'll just decide not to marry, but to continue our relationship. I don't think he's ready to give up our relationship yet, but he's moved into a hotel. I know some people have told me to give him space, but I've decided that even if a part of him is willing to stay with me, I'm going to do everything I can to give me another chance. I've been dropping off food, leaving notes under his door, and we've been calling every day, sometimes twice a day. Right now we're both stuck in limbo. Most of the time we talk about how much we miss each other, the plans we had, and me convincing him that he's my soulmate and that regardless of whatever happened with Andy, I know we would have ended up together. Then there are other moments where he calls in the middle of the night, having obviously been crying and asking questions like, "What did he have that I didn't? Did you love him? Was he better in bed? Was better looking than me? Do you still think he's better looking than me? What does more exciting mean? Do you wish he gave you another chance?" He says that he wants to be with me desperately, but when he thinks about me, it's seared into his mind that I was always his first choice, but he will always have been my second. It hurts him that we had feelings for each other all the way through high school, but the moment I met Andy, none of that meant anything anymore, which must have meant I thought Andy was worth my time and he wasn't. It breaks my heart to hear him holding back his tears and trying to cry silently, but I swear I'll do anything to save our relationship. And part of that means not hiding anything from him. I've begged him to reconsider going to therapy, but he absolutely will not budge. Some of our mutual friends are saying that they're not sure if he'll recover from this, but I don't care. He hasn't told me to stop trying, so I'm not going to. I wish to God that I could go back and change the past because I love him more than anything, including myself. It feels like I'm in some sort of surreal nightmare. Less than a month ago, we were laying in bed fighting over which of us got to name our kids, and now a seemingly insignificant mistake that I made 7 years ago might wipe away the beautiful future I want with Ryan. All I can do right now is be there and hope that he can give me another chance, but I don't know what he's thinking. I know this isn't a common relationship problem, but if anyone has anything they can give me, whether it's advice or even reassurance that things are going to work out, please tell me. Edit, he called an hour ago. Some of his friends found this Reddit post and showed it to him, so he called angry, asking why I would tell strangers about our personal problems and how is he supposed to face his friends and family now after they all know that the only reason I'm with him is because Andy broke up with me. After reading the comments, he realized that it wasn't right for him to keep me in the dark for so long without making a decision. He's decided that we should go our separate ways so that I can decide whether it really is him that I want to be with and that he wasn't just the convenient choice. For now, I can't describe how I'm feeling. It's like I'm so tired I just want to go to sleep forever. I know some of you have the impression that he's a horrible man, but this was just a small fragment of our relationship and doesn't reflect who he is as an individual in the slightest. He's the guy who spent days learning about my major on top of his own studies so that he could help me study for exams and proofread my coursework. He spent thousands of his own hard-earned money to give my parents their dream vacation to Australia and insisted that I say I paid for it because they'd feel bad taking money from him. When my ex threatened to leak nudes that I'd sent him when we were together, I was terrified that he would leave. He took me out to my favorite restaurant and said that there was nothing anyone else could do or say that would ever affect how much he loves me, and then he asked me to marry him so I'd never have to worry about him leaving ever again. My fiancé is the best man that I've never known, and the assumptions that everyone here has made from hearing about such a small part of our lives is disgusting, and I didn't come here for people to convince me that he's immature, insecure or any of that. I should have known better than to post here, but all I can hope for now is that he sees this. To my fiancé, I don't know what I can say to make this better, and I don't know if you'll be able to heal from this. What I can say is that you are wrong in thinking that I chose you out of convenience. I chose you because you're the most thoughtful, handsome, intelligent and charming man that I've ever known. Every single moment that we've had together for the last 7 years, every kiss that we've shared, every bagel that we've split and every I love you that I've said was meant for you and was an affirmation that you are and always will be my first choice. I don't believe that you want to cut our lives together short. I think that you were trying to heal from the consequences of a mistake that I made, and then I inadvertently set a fire underneath you by forcing you to come to a decision by making this post. Take as long as you need to do whatever it is that you need to do to heal from this, and I'll be here waiting for when you're ready to talk. If you decide that this is something that we cannot overcome, I would accept your decision, but I know we are stronger than this. I love you so much. Edit 2. I know this is starting to get really long, but he read my open letter and got in contact with me to say that he's not promising anything except that he'll listen. He still refuses to see a therapist because he doesn't view our relationship as strong enough that there's anything to salvage right now. However, some people here have expressed that they wish they could give him advice directly, and I've convinced him to talk to others who have experienced this and healed from it. Update 2. Before I get into the update, I want to say that I asked my ex-fiancé before posting this, and he said it's fine as long as I don't give away any details that could reveal us to more of our friends and family. I've always been the type of person who values other people's input when it comes to making big decisions, and he knows that. A lot has happened since the last update. After we spoke, he went completely quiet for around 2 weeks for time to think. The waiting was almost unbearable, but he promised that as soon as he had an answer for me, he would contact me. I wasn't allowed to come to his hotel to drop off food, try to see him or any sort of contact. When he finally called, the first thing that he established was that our relationship was over. However, despite our relationship ending, he still wants to be with me. If I still want to be with him, we can restart our relationship completely from the beginning with the board wiped clean. In his own words, while you look back at our relationship and see something wonderful, I look back at it in disgust because you lied by omission every single day. Initially, I was ready to agree on the spot, but he insisted that I take the week to decide whether I really want this. His logic is that if I choose to restart our relationship from the beginning now, he will be my first choice. Later on in the week it began to settle what this would mean. I would go from fiancé back to girlfriend, I don't know when. He is going to propose again. I don't want children until we're married, so I don't know how long that's going to be. In short, it would completely throw off the life plans we had. I asked for a little more time, and he doesn't want me to resent him in the future, so agreed to give me as much time as I needed to come to a decision. This is a better outcome than I expected and maybe better than I deserve, but I would be lying if I said that I don't wish things could go back to normal. I've decided that I'm going to agree to starting over. It just really hurts that the past 7 years don't mean anything anymore. Not long ago we celebrated our 7th anniversary, but this time next year, we'll be celebrating our 1st anniversary again. Edit. He read the post and wanted to address some of the comments. 1. If we do restart our relationship, he won't hold anything over my head. It'll be exactly as he said, and our relationship would start over completely. He's so confident of this that he insists I leave him if he ever slips up and brings it up when we argue. 2. Some people have said that being first is just an arbitrary construct, but that doesn't mean anything. Marriage is a construct, monogamy is a construct, etc. Something being a construct doesn't make it any less real or capable of inflicting pain. 3. A reminder that this isn't about me dating people before him. He doesn't care about that. He cares that I knew him for years, that we had a bond in high school, and that he waited until we were in college so we could officially be a couple, but I picked someone else I barely knew. 4. It's come up very often that the length of our relationship should have some influence over his decisions. He says it does because it makes it even worse. I never told him about what happened during those 6 months while we were together. On top of that, I wasn't the one to tell him in the end. We know everything about each other, so he can only assume that I consciously hid it from him. I'm not insecure, fragile or irrational. The fact is that our old relationship is now ruined in my eyes. It's ruined because she took away my ability to make an informed decision 7 years ago. If I had known the circumstances of her return, I'm not afraid to say that I would have told her to go F_K herself. Now I'm giving her the option to restart our relationship with me knowing all the facts. This time will be equals. Now on to second story. Turned down being my new co-worker's man of honor, now I'm facing her relentless bridezilla campaign at the hospital. Yesterday was my first day back to work after being off for 2 weeks. This is kinda important. One of my co-workers had gotten engaged the week before I left. When she announced at work, we all did the congratulations and happy for her type of things. I thought it was over. So when I left for vacation, the last I knew, no plans had yet been made. Then yesterday when I went back to work, my boss K and best friend L said that coworker C was looking for me. I asked what was up and they weren't sure, but she was carrying a little gift bag. A few minutes later C found me and asked how my vacation was. I was telling them about it and she cut me off and said she had a very important question to ask. She handed a little gift bag and asked if I would be her best man of honor for her wedding. I thanked her and told her that typically this would traditionally go to a close female relationship. She responded that there was nothing traditional about her wedding, so it was good. I looked over at L and K, who were both trying to keep from laughing. I again thanked her, congratulated her and told her that I wasn't interested in being part of her wedding party and that I would be happier being a guest in the audience. I swear when I said this, it was when we watched her entire demeanor changed and a switch flipped. She went off saying that I have to be in her wedding and that she doesn't understand why I would say no. I told her that we only knew each other for a short time and that I had no interest in trying to plan parties, dinners, and shopping trips. She told me I needed to think about it and she would get back to me later. I told her go for it, but my answer will be the same. She walked away and I looked at K and L and asked what the ever-loving fresh creepy hell was that? K started to laugh and said she didn't know. But saying no like I did might have saved me a lot of headaches in the future. L made the comment that she went straight to bridezilla and this was a look into what she was going to be like. C came back today, however she went with a different approach and handed me a list of what she wants me to do and her vision of how she sees things. I asked her why she gave me this and she said that as her man of honor these were my responsibilities. I told her again that I was not going to do any of this. She started again that she needs me to do this and how much fun it was going to be. Then she asked, haven't you ever wanted to be part of something special? I told her I was. I was a nurse. Enter K, who could sense that I needed help and told C one of her patients needed her help. I told K that if this keeps up I might need her help. She said she was already watching it and would intervene if I needed it. What did I miss? We aren't that close. She just transferred down to my unit from a different unit 6 months ago. I had no idea who she was until that point. L is saying that she is close in age to me and she might feel that to be enough of a connection. Did I miss something? When we are asked, are we supposed to automatically gush and jump up and down in excitement? Why is saying no a bad thing? Update 1. I had to meet with my lawyer today regarding family issues. My neighbor / best friend / coworker L took me. I really felt awful and driving wasn't a good idea. We were talking about this on the way and we both were asking a lot of the same questions that all you were asking. The big one was that we were asking about the circumstances of her transfer. She went from med-surg 4 watts to the ER. That is a huge change. I have to work tomorrow, so we will see what happens. But L and I are going to ask Kay about the transfer and raise a couple of other concerns. After I got home from the meeting with my lawyer, I slept for the rest of the day. Many of you asked about if C and I hang out outside of work. The answer is no. I really don't know anything about her. I have helped her a few times with patients and different things. But our relationship is 100% purely work-related. That was why I was so surprised that she asked me to do this. That is why I was so surprised that she asked me about being the man of honor. I have a very small friend base and in all honesty I like to keep it that way. I really have no interest in being a part of this. I'm not a wedding person. After reading so many bridezilla stories and hearing about over-the-top weddings, they have become a huge turn-off to me, spending tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars with insane, unrealistic demands that turn people against each other. Why? I would rather use that money and spend that time planning my next trip or vacation. Many people said that I was being used as a token or prop in a wedding. Or a gay best friend. I never really thought about it. I admit that I'm out and proud. But I'm not going to just pretend to be someone's friend just so they can fulfill some kind of fetish they have for wanting to have a gay best friend or some kind of status she feels the need to fulfill. It takes me a lot to get offended, but if this were actually the case then I would really be rather offended. I was not put on the face of the earth to be someone's play toy. A lot of people have said that maybe she doesn't have a boyfriend. She does. She has brought him in before. If she has any insecurity, I don't understand it. She is attractive, smart and nosy stuff. So I am at a loss as to why she is acting like this. A lot of people say go to HR. I'm starting that process with my boss Kay. She is completely aware of the situation being with us when all this happened. She has told me that she is watching the situation and will jump in if I need her to. I trust her completely. While K and HR can control the situation from the hospital, they can't control the situation from a personal level if she were to maybe follow me home or a situation like that. So I think that covers it all. I wish I could say this is over. Update 2. I keep forgetting to thank my boyfriend. He has been with me on this but more in the background. First when we were laughing about it. But when everything Thursday happened he was there as well. L was able to get him away from his unit for a little bit for the "it will be okay" boyfriend hug. He stayed the night with me a couple of nights as well, also helping with me being sick. So yeah. I'm very lucky to have such a great support. This intro is going to be long, but I'm telling you about this for a reason, and later in this update it will make sense. I'm hoping this will be done and that this will be the last of this whole situation. I was born into a family where I was referred to as an issue that needed to be dealt with. I lived in the shadows of my sister, who was the child my parents wanted. They wanted one child, which was a girl. That way dad had his daddy girl and mom had mommy little princess. Then I came along. Keep in mind that I'm 23, so back then my parents had options but chose to not use any of those options. So instead my parents raised my sister, and I was raised by a nanny who even to this day is one of the biggest influences in my life, and I am so grateful for her. She helped me with so much. I finally realized that all these years later, that by being referred to as an issue that needed to be dealt with, that they stripped me of my humanity and individuality and self-worth as a person. I think that's why I have worked so hard to establish myself in my career and in my life. As a way to become a person again and not just be that issue that needed to be dealt with. This past Thursday things came to a head with the bridezilla known as C, and the truth came out. My best friend L has been sticking close to me when we worked together if C was to start something. We weren't sure if she was going to leave it alone or start up again. I was really hoping that it was done. But she had to try once again. I've been sick and I had a busy morning, so I really just wanted a few minutes to go to the bathroom, grab a quick snack and maybe breath. C came up and had her list and asked if I had a few minutes to talk about the wedding planning. I looked at her and told her again no, that I was not interested in being part of her wedding and that I was not going to help in any way, and she needed to drop the subject and leave me alone. Again she went into the who thing of how I was going to do this and how much fun it was going to be. Here we go with that line all of you love the first time. Why in the ever-loving fresh creepy hell is it so important for me to be your man of honor? I'm not interested and I'm not doing it. It is as exactly as pretty much all of you told me it would be. She was just planning on using me as a token or a play toy. She took all of the fucked up gay stereotypes that are out in society and put them into one sentence. What modern liberal woman isn't going to have a gay bestie on her arm for special events? I felt everything in my stomach move and a wave of nausea come over me, and I felt like I couldn't get to the bathroom fast enough. This pissed L off to no end. L is really kinda like the overprotective sister that I wish I would have had, and took C off to visit our boss K and laid it all out. Everything that was said. While I wasn't in on that conversation, L and K filled me in on what was said. K came to check on me and I was still hiding in the bathroom. She knocked on the door and asked if she could come in. I asked her for a bottle of water first. While I was waiting I realized two things. I realized why I chose to not hang out with her and why I didn't like her. I couldn't figure out why I didn't like her, just that there was something that gave me the heebie-jeebies. But I realized that I didn't like her because she is a different version of my sister. While C is educated and employed, she doesn't care about other people and their feelings. She is like my sister in the sense that if she wants something bad enough she will figure out how to get it. The second thing I realized was that she did exactly what my parents did to me. She completely dehumanized me and reduced me to an entity. Just kinda turned me into a token or a thing for her. I think the word that best describes it is I'm just a play toy. What really gets me is that just like my sister, C doesn't think she did anything wrong and I'm being too sensitive and a delicate snowflake. The next day an emergency meeting was held at work and C is being suspended pending investigation and a new transfer is being looked into. K made the request for her to be terminated. The director of emergency nursing said this was a last resort, but she was going to be looking into options which could be sending her to a new hospital or facility. This didn't go over well with me. I asked what would happen if she did the exact same thing to someone different. She didn't really give me an answer. But she said she still needs to look into a few things and at this point she is suspended. Anyway. Here it is. I'm still pretty sick and had to work this weekend. If I can I'll respond. I want to thank everyone for all the amazing support. I am going back to my lawyer to see if he can figure out how to send her a cease and desist letter to make sure she doesn't contact me. I'm heading to bed.